Hello and welcome to episode number 18 of Light the Eye, presented by the U of I Credit Union. I'm Scott Beatty. Oh, for Pete's sake.
And I'm Robert Rosenthal.
Are you at the dentist?
Was that dramatic enough?
What?
I'm seated at my daughter-in-law's. She has one of those standing desks where you hit a button, it goes up and down. And so, why not? I mean, if we've got it, use it, right?
That's like the opposite of the Chris Collinsworth slide in at the open of Sunday Night Football.
The more excruciating it is, I mean, just think about this. Some people are going to get that in just a podcast feed. So they're just going to hear a mechanical whir for 17 seconds and then my big head.
Did you say whirv?
Whir. W-H-I-R-R is what I was
No, I think you said whirv.
Oh.
We'll have to check the tape. I think you put a V on the end of that.
Probably.
Whirv.
Let's rewind. Let's check it.
Yeah, that's like a swerve and a whir at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
We were accused of not being focused in our last podcast, so, we better get to it. Is there anything, just to tell folks what's coming up? I think this could be potentially a very good show.
Yeah, just a couple things. Just, 2 top 25 road victories, a number 5 Illinois basketball program, a new defensive coordinator being hired, and, a softball coach joining us.
Yeah, that's right. Tyra Perry will be here at the end of the program, and I'll have a conversation with her. Since it's, 30 degrees with snow on the ground, it must be softball season. So we will talk to her.
That's
but
right.
Actually, 30 degrees, this feels balmy. It's what you call, Robert, shorts weather.
I am in shorts right now.
Yes. You're in Idaho, though. What is it? Balmy?
It's a little warmer. Like they are not happy about the fact that it's like 42 today because the ski areas around the mountains here are not producing actual snow. They have to make their snow, and then it gets up to 45 in the afternoon, and it gets slushy, and so it's not the best winter in the West for skiing.
Ha! Yes. We got them.
Yeah, we got all their snow and all their cold. We
took the snow from Idaho. We're a bunch of vandals. That's what we are.
Well played. Well played.
All right. It's just a huge run that Illinois basketball is on. We got to get to it. But before we do that, we got to light the eye. My question
I can't
is,
do it.
Robert,
you did well. You did well the first time. It was the first time anyone has ever lighted that eye besides me. So please go 2 for 2.
My question is can the starter lose his job to, injury or whatever?
No.
Because if I'm doing well.
When I am back in studio, I'm lighting the eye. It's in the contract. Read the fine print. I always light the eye.
There's no contract. Well, this is going to start our bitter dispute that will eventually play out on air. All right, here we go. Let's light the eye. They're going to write articles. They're going to say, is Scott Beatty making a push to be the starting eye lighter? Is he making a play? And they're going to say, what first caught your eye, Robert? Did you know he'd be so good at lighting the eye? And then you're going to talk about my versatility and
you're right.
My IQ.
I mean, you've made the point before that I always raise the remote and point and make it dramatic when I could just reach over on the desk and press a button.
And that's where scouts are going to say that the eye lighting that you do is just not an efficient mechanic.
Right, not efficient, but it's flair. Look, there are judges in this sport.
Yeah.
And the East German judge needs to give me the 9.8 for flair.
But I'm talking about ceiling potential. When you look at where I could go with this compared to what you do, I think you could be a very good college eye lighter, but I think I could be professional.
So what you're saying is I'm David Mirkovic and you are Keaton Wagler when it comes to lighting the eye.
Absolutely, and I am skyrocketing up the charts. Rob the bank. was the rallying cry
Yes.
for the Illini in Lincoln on Sunday. Rob the bank, Pinnacle Bank Arena, and it's 11 in a row. I tweeted about this just because it still astounds me that you go into a place like Mackey Arena a week ago where it's so historically difficult to win, and they're ranked number 4. You beat them, come home, and then go on the road again to a team that maybe isn't as historically tough to beat in their venue, but everyone regards as a Final Four national title contender, and you beat them. To me, that makes you a Final Four national title contender, and they
100%.
robbed the bank.
Yeah. I love the rob the bank thing. I saw Adam Fletcher put something on Instagram, I think it was, with a clip from The Town, the Ben Affleck movie. And it was basically that clip, the whose car are we going to take clip. Hey, I can't tell you where we're going. I can't tell you who's involved in this. We might hurt some people. I need your help. And Jeremy Renner's response is just like, whose car are we going to take? And so, I like that attitude from this team. I like that, like that's who we're going to be. And with all these road wins and all these moments of, look, 6-0 on the road in the Big Ten. It's not just these 2 wins. Winning at Iowa was big. Winning at Ohio State was big. Those are all quad 1A wins, and there aren't many of those to go around. And it's made this tournament resume, absolutely skyrocket. Like, I went over it this morning. Almost certainly the number 5 team when it comes to the way the committee looks at it. I'm no lower than 5. You could make an argument for 4, but at this moment, I think certainly the number 5, the first 2 seed, when brackets are put together, if the tournament was tomorrow, if this was Selection Sunday, easily the number 5 team in the country.
Well, Joe Lunardi of ESPN.com, he's not the only bracketologist out there, but he's kind of the guru when it comes to brackets. And there's a graph. He puts it out every day, and there's a graphic. And you're right. He is projected. The Illini are projected as the number 5 overall seed, which would be the first number 2 seed. And again, people like Joe Lunardi are trying to forecast what they think the committee will do, not what they think should be the results, but what they think the committee will do. And usually those would be pretty close anyway. But look at the company Illinois is keeping. And by the way, they're now number 5 in the AP poll. That matches the slot here. They are only behind Arizona, Michigan, Duke, and UConn.
Yep. In
the seeding. And I don't know how you want to regard Michigan, but those are all blue blood basketball programs, the rest of them at least.
Yep. I mean, the crazy thing when you're looking at that is, look, we've talked about St. Louis, right? We spent a whole 10 minutes talking through the seeding procedure and everything else. And when you look
at St. Louis will be a host site.
Yes, St. Louis will be a host site. And probably the 3 teams fighting for the 2 protected seeds in St. Louis are Iowa State, Purdue, and Illinois, because it's the closest to those campuses. There are other obvious, St. Louis University is obviously fighting for that, but they're much further down the list. So the job for the Illini, if they want to go to St. Louis for the first and second round, is to finish at least second out of those 3 teams: Illinois, Iowa State, and Purdue. And what did Lunardi have it? Illinois 5, Iowa State 6, and Purdue 11. Is that what it was?
Yeah, Purdue is the 11th overall seed on a 3 line.
So that likely, if the seeding were happening tomorrow, that sends Iowa State and Illinois to St. Louis. Obviously, they wouldn't play each other. It's just little 4-team pods, and the winner comes out and moves on to the regional. But it'd send Iowa State and Illinois both to the St. Louis site, and Purdue would have to go to Buffalo or Philadelphia or one of the other sites. So If you want to go to St. Louis, that's the job. Stay ahead of those guys on the seed line for when they're handing out protected seeds. And so far, so good.
Well, the question I wrote down is, how big can you dream now as an Illini fan? I mean, there's always wishful thinking, right? And there's always, on the spectrum of wishful thinking and fantasy to real hopes. I mean, Illinois has drifted into, is this a year? Look, 11 out of 20 Big Ten games are done. There's still a lot of schedule left. But you've won 11 in a row, and you've had huge wins on the road, which is so big. Not just for seeding, but for knowing what you can do. I mean, the team just hasn't flinched. Have you seen them flinch?
No. And it's, I'm going to bring Ella in here just to ask her a question. Ella's producing today. Ella, I know you're a sophomore at Illinois. So what second year you graduated? What year were you born, Ella?
I was born in 2005.
2005. What month of 2005?
September 26th.
Okay. The point I'm trying to make here is that you were born after the Final Four in 2005. So in your lifetime, you're a sophomore at Illinois right now. In your lifetime, Illinois has been in the top 5 twice, 2021 and this year. I mean, that's it for a college sophomore. They've only seen one other Illinois team reach this height in their entire lifetime. It's just a massive thing that brings the potential of this team into, it's time to start talking like it's 2021 again. I don't know. Ella, you're on campus. What's the mood on campus about this team?
Well, quick side note here is that I was technically at the Final Four games in 2005.
Oh, that's a
my parents
great side note.
Attended. So
you were in the building. Yes.
I was in the building for arguably the greatest Illinois basketball team of all time. So that's my claim to fame there. I would say mood on campus is it's fun. It's fun to be a fan. I live in the sorority house. It's fun to have all of the sorority girls invested in college basketball. And it's just it's a fun time to be here. People are going to the games. It's fun.
Can I ask a question on that follow-up? Just in this whole world of transfer portals and NIL, the older folks sometimes say, I don't like the way this is going. That could be a legitimate question. But my question is for you, a roster that a good portion of it is imported from overseas, and there's players that'll be here and gone. Does anybody care? I mean, in a negative way, is there any part of you like, D Brown and Darren, like you kind of watch them grow up over several years before our eyes, kind of thing. And this is, do you still sense that like, hey, they're with us, I'm with them because they're playing for Illinois?
I would say that's interesting because every year I feel like I've been here, which has been 2, but it's been a lot of one and done players.
Yeah.
And so every year I go into it thinking I can't get attached to this team. You just don't know any of them. And then come February, we all know the players. And it just like, I think you can look at it negatively, but in the end, come February, come March, that feels like your team. And it'll reset again next year.
I mean, winning has to help that a ton. But the component that I always look for in winning teams, besides what they're doing on the court, is the personality and the sense of togetherness. And I think that this team really has that. They're, the Elite Eight team a couple of years ago, they had just they had the chairs, put the chairs back after press conferences and water gun fights. And there's just always sort of the quirky, I mean, David Mirkovic is kind of a nutty, crazy guy that is magnetic in personality. And then, the Ivasic brothers are very they've got this witty, dry sense of humor, and they're smashing guitars and they're putting up sayings that say rob the bank and all kinds of shenanigans. You could just sense a culture around the team, and I think that, I don't know if that's the starting point or an outcome of a team that is good.
Yeah,
But
see, I mean, I go
chicken
all
and
the
egg,
way.
but
Yeah, I go all the way back to the Bradimir stuff, right? Like this season started out with this viral AI image of Underwood as some kind of Balkan mob boss or whatever, and it has just carried through. I wrote after the Ohio State game, that's the game where those guys were behind the bench all in the leisure suits, in the Brad, athletic leisure wear, and had the hats, and they had cigarettes and everything else. And the Ohio State crowd was just so grumbly, and will we ever be good, and why can't we have good basketball? And the Illinois bench and the fans behind the bench were so happy and having fun and throwing a party, and the players were having fun. And I just wrote an article that I called Culture of Fun, that it has kind of been across most Underwood programs the last few years, that as you just mentioned, pushing in the chairs and the water gun fights and everything else, that there is this fun culture. And we're seeing more and more of that, even with the rob the bank thing yesterday, that they are having a ton of fun with it. So smashing guitars, everything else, it is loads of fun right now. And hey, they're playing loose. They got down by how much? 6 at halftime yesterday, and just didn't phase them. Came out and completely dominated. I think I saw Tyler was adding this up. He was covering the game for the site because I'm out here, and I think he said the start to the second half, the first 15 minutes was 30-13 Illinois. So you're doing that to the number 5 team at their place in the biggest game ever at home for Nebraska basketball. I want to say that again, okay? They've never played a game as a top 5 team against another top 10 team in the history of their program. They've had a couple upsets where they upset like a number 4 team, but this was sold out crowd, national TV. We're going to show off our program. Biggest game ever here against a top 10 team. We're number 5, and Illinois did that in the second half. So it is, I could talk forever on this game. Everything is getting super fun.
one thing I'd like to point out, and stop me if we've covered this before, but in this conversation about great freshmen in Illinois basketball history on the men's side, and by the way, there's one that we need to be talking about on the women's side in Ciara Parchment.
Right.
And really Destiny Jackson, but Parchment's numbers, we'll get to all that in a moment. But I'm trying to comp this to not just individual seasons and performances, because Keaton Wagler is, some people are saying, he needs to be in the conversation for Conference Player of the Year. And why isn't he on the Bob Cousy list at the midseason and stuff like that? But when is Illinois, if Illinois goes to where we can all dream about right now, based on their performance, that is a Final Four, it's going to be in part on the shoulders of 2 freshmen who are having sensational seasons in Wagler and Mirkovic. Not solely on their shoulders, but in large part because of them. And when has that ever happened in Illinois history? The importance of what Trent Frazier did, at least in the, I'm just talking Brad Underwood era, what Trent Frazier did to help establish the program. Io had a good freshman year, but not his best years yet, when it was all said and done. And he was so vital to the program just for coming here and helping the turnaround, weathering the worst win-loss season for Brad Underwood to turn it around, what would eventually be a number 1 seed and then on to the NBA. But this is just, I just marvel at the fact that there's 2 freshmen in the starting lineup that are not only contributing, but actually like 2 star players.
Yeah, I think the only freshman I can remember making this kind of an impact, and at the moment I think Wagler's making a bigger impact, would be Frank Williams. But I mean, technically he wasn't even a freshman. So back then in '98, there was a thing called Prop 48, and If you didn't have certain grades, you could make it into school, but you weren't allowed to compete. You had to sit out your freshman year, and then you could be a redshirt freshman the following year. So that's what Frank Williams did. And going from that 99 season, which was really rough, to the 2000 season where it's like Frank Williams might be the best player in the Big Ten, that's the only other time I can remember feeling like this about a freshman lifting an entire team. But again, he had a full year sitting on the bench and was technically a sophomore at the time. And two, it wasn't this. That 2000 team was good and they got a 4 seed, and who knows what happens here. Maybe this team does fall to a 4 seed or something like that. But we're talking about the Big Ten Freshman of the Year and possible, I don't know, second team All-American at this point. Ken Pom keeps those standings that are usually really good to track down which players are on those final AP All-American teams. He just has a formula to look at stats to see who's the most impactful players. And as of this morning, Wagler's 8th, which would be second team All-American. He's the 8th most important player in all of college basketball right now.
But I'm saying he's got Mirkovic there also, who's Illinois' leading rebounder. Mm-hmm. And certainly Kofi as a freshman was a huge instant dominating impact.
Yep.
He was just a double-double machine. But I don't know. It just felt like, I don't know. Was Georgie the same year as him?
Yeah, Georgie and Iowa were the same year, yeah.
Georgie and Iowa were.
Yes, Georgie and Iowa were the same year. Yeah.
But I'm just talking about two freshmen in the starting lineup.
Season.
2 freshmen in the starting lineup that could take you far in the postseason. That's just, I'm marveling at that.
I mean, you have to go to probably Bruce Douglas, Ephraim Winters, maybe. That's really the only other twosome that I could think of as freshmen. But even then, you're right. This might be unprecedented in our lifetimes.
All right. I mean, it's one thing. I've been through the post-game shows before where after a win, everybody's ready to crown you going to the Final Four. And, you got to get it done.
Yep.
But you can look at, you're not looking at a number 5 team early in the season where you go, well, they kind of, that was, the voters didn't get that one right. It's like, no, there is a really good body of work at this point to justify your ranking. And the Ken Pom metrics and the other metrics would back that up. So, you can go ahead and dream.
Yeah, and on top of that, no one on earth, I don't know of one human being on earth, even the fan that thinks we're going to go undefeated every year, would think that you look at the schedule and it's like, okay, well, the next 3 weekends, it's at Purdue one weekend, then it's at Nebraska the next weekend, then it's at Michigan State the next weekend. And, oh, by the way, Colin Boswell's out for a month, and he's not going to play in any of those games. There's not one human on earth that said, well, I think, I really do think Illinois could maybe go 3-0 in those games. Now it's possible. If they win Saturday, I don't know what to do.
Why, I know a human being who said, I recall a human being who said when Kylan Boswell went out that said, well, there goes the Big Ten title.
We could put the clip in right here. I did say those words. And
no, I want to save it for if they do win the Big Ten title.
Good. Because who would think, look at the box scores. 7 guys playing. You have a team of 7 guys led by 2 freshmen. You have Jake Davis transferred from Mercer. You have Ben Hummerkausen transferred from Evansville. You have these twins from Croatia, and you have who am I missing now? Who's left? Boswell's out. It's not this lineup that everybody was looking at before the season and like, well, yeah, even if they lose Boswell, they should be a top 5 team. No one was thinking that, and here we are.
Okay. One more thing. These freshmen don't flinch. Evan Mayakawa has a stat he tracks called the kill shot. That's when a team goes on a 10-0 run. And if a team goes on a 10-0 run, they win around 70% of the time in a ball game. Nebraska win on one of those, but Illinois had one of their own.
Yep.
I don't know what the percentages are if you both have one, but Illinois won the ball game. All I'm saying is Illinois has shown some resilience and the ability to come back in the game and also make adjustments. So enjoy the ride. Yeah, should be favored at home against Northwestern, and that is Wednesday night. And then back on the road, you set it to Michigan State. No, they are ranked number 10 in the country. They fell to Michigan, of course, but they're still strong, and it'll be a huge matchup in that game between Ben Hummerkaus and Dorothy Izzo. We'll break that down later as we go. All right.
I want to mention one more thing about this
Okay.
before we move on, and it won't be long. We have our moment now, right? Like the whatever we're calling the swipe pass from Tommy to
thank
Jake
you.
Davis. Like,
The swipe pass.
we're going to remember that. We're going to remember that moment from this season for a long time. There are just sometimes those moments during seasons where a little thing happens and it's like, oh, well, that's, oh, I remember that season, or I remember that. That was a moment. I just wanted to note it because it's so unique. He has the awareness of what the shot clock is. He can't settle the ball. The only opportunity since David had passed it to him, the only opportunity is to get to Jake as fast as he can so he can get a 3 off before the shot clock. And I was even thinking after seeing the pass, I'm watching on TV, I'm walking toward the TV. It's one of those like, this 3 has to go in, because if he misses it, then it wasn't a moment. But if he makes it, that's going to be like this visible moment from the 2026 season, and he made it. And Illinois never trailed again. That was a huge, huge moment.
Absolutely, and it was also a moment that Fred Hoiberg cited post-game as kind of a pivotal moment because of what not only transpired in that possession, but the possessions after it, and sort of where Illinois wrested control right after that. That the high, as Brad Underwood says, the problem-solving ability of the team and the high IQ. That was all of those factors mixed into one, and they're a good passing team, which has paid off so many times.
Yep.
All right, the women needed a win in the worst way. Not only because they had dropped 2 games in a row, but it just felt like they've been through a brutal part of the schedule, and now you go on the lengthiest road trip up to the Northwest to Seattle, and the Washington Huskies are ranked number 25. And the Illini on the women's side got it done with a 75-66 victory against the Huskies, and they are feeling much better about themselves now, 6-5 in the Big Ten, and Ciara Parchment continues to be dominant, both in the post but also from range and shooting, and she is just a huge addition to this team as a freshman. And then you couple that with Barry Wallace, who's one of the top 5 scorers in Big Ten play right now. Also, good news for Illinois, Gretchen Dolan got on the floor for a few minutes in the first half. It was good news when you could see that she was making the trip and listed as questionable, and she got in for a few minutes. Don't know what the long-term is for her on that, but that was all positive news, Robert. And so on the heels, in fact, on the same television network.
Yeah, didn't you change channels?
Yeah, you got to see a doubleheader Illinois basketball win.
Yeah, I don't know the other rosters in the Big Ten as well as I know the men's rosters, but is Illinois going to have both Freshmen of the Year? Is that possible? I know there are some stars scoring a lot on other teams, but what if Keaton Wagler and Ciara Parchment are, hey, both Freshmen of the Year? Got to give them to Illinois.
I mean, she has to be in the conversation without knowing the whole scope of it.
Yeah, and it gives them, we talked about like having a big 3. Back in, I think, early December, we talked about that of like, if Parchment can be the post, then you have 2 go-to scorers in Dolan and Wallace, and you have Parchment in the post. But now it's like especially the way Destiny Jackson's been playing, something about what that UCLA coach said makes you think like, man, it's not a senior year. This team, I don't want to talk about, I don't want to be that guy this year talking about next year. This year, there's still a lot they can play for, and tournament bids, and maybe surprise Sweet 16 run or something. But next year, everyone comes back. This is going to be a really, really, really good team.
Yeah, and what I love about Ciara Parchment is she has a lot of fight in her. I want to bring in Ella Peterson, again, producer Ella, because Ella, you've been covering a lot of the women's games with Big Ten Plus and just been an observer as well. And I wanted to catch your thoughts on that win in Seattle yesterday.
Yeah, I've had, honestly, the pleasure of following women's basketball and covering it for Big Ten Plus since I got on campus my freshman year. And this season, I feel like has been so fun because Shauna Green always says she knew the expectation for this team. They knew what they were made of. But I think that the general public, the media, with their freshmen, it was questionable. And so I was sidelined for the UCLA game. So I got to, have a front seat to that, which was fun to see their hustle and their fight. And I felt like that really bled into the Washington game. They're scrappy.
By the way, was it difficult to keep your composure? You did the post-game sideline with Jaquez. What's her first name? UCLA player. Sienna? Gabriella Jaquez. Yeah, right. And then the entire UCLA roster just swarms around her while you're doing a sideline post-game interview. So were you like, I got to keep my composure here?
I was just more giving her moment to shine.
Okay.
So that was pretty easy. I asked the final question, stepped off to the side so that she could have her moment, which I think is the fun part of sideline.
A true professional. Professional.
That's right. There's got to be a few of us around here, Robert.
That's right. Ella, give me lessons. Teach me the ways of not inserting myself into that moment because I absolutely would. Well done.
Ella, you're going to be on the call too on Big Ten Plus this Sunday, Illinois and USC.
I am. It is going to be, or they're pushing for a big sellout game. So it's Super Bowl Sunday. Come and watch some women's basketball against USC to get the day started and follow some fun sports. So I think it'll be hopefully a pretty electric day in Champaign. And
shout out to you and co-producer Maisie Garrett, because both of you are going to be, you'll be on mic and Maisie will be on production side for this one, but it is National Girls and Women in Sports Day. So correct me if I'm wrong, all of the talent and all of the production crew for the game will be women. How cool is that for you?
This is the second year we've had it. And you're correct. Everything will be led by females. I think is one of the coolest things I've been able to be a part of in college. I think women's sports are obviously a huge growing network, and then it's fun to see the opportunities for women. So to be able to get a whole crew, and you're thinking graphics operators, replay operators, a lot of niche things. Just to have an entire crew of females, it was so fun last year. And so I think it'll be just as awesome.
Well, we're looking forward to it. And there's a lot of promotions that they're putting towards this game, by the way, as they're aiming for their first sellout since the Teresa Grentz era, I think. And basically there's a way to get in the door if you want. And it would be pretty cool to see a packed out State Farm Center for a women's game and a winnable game too against USC. So we'll look forward to your call, Ella, on that. That's very cool. All right, we're going to step aside for a moment, and when we come back, it's Robert's second or third favorite thing to talk about, Illinois football. The Illini are looking for a new defensive coordinator as Aaron Henry has left the program, and there's a few other slots they need to fill on Brett Bielema's staff. We'll talk about that in a moment. This is Light the Eye, presented by the U of I Credit Union. Over the weekend, some significant Illinois football news as we learned about departures of two key staff members from Brett Bielema's lineup. Special teams coordinator and tight ends coach Robbie Disher reportedly heading to Ohio State, and then defensive coordinator Aaron Henry going to Notre Dame to be a co-defensive coordinator and defensive backs coach for the Fighting Irish, vacating the defensive coordinator position. Robert, I don't know if you saw any of this coming, but a little bit of a shock, at least to me, just because of the long relationship that Brett Bielema and Aaron Henry had going back to when Brett Bielema recruited him. They've been very tight. Obviously, the defense for Illinois hasn't matched the level that it was when Ryan Walters was the defensive coordinator. Of course, there was a lot of other circumstances with injuries and different roster makeup, but they never got quite to the same place. it's hard to know at this moment what all went into the departure, if Aaron Henry was seeking that, if Brett Bielema was trying to help him find a different position. I don't know, and I don't know that it helps to speculate, but I'm certainly surprised. How about you?
I guess my brain goes to the Wisconsin press conference afterwards. I don't know the exact quote, but Coach Bielema said something to the matter of like, we still have, he said something like, obviously changes are coming, but not now. We have to start on Northwestern prep immediately and then bowl game prep immediately, and then, took the question in that direction. But when he said obviously changes are coming, there was some debate of like, is that coordinators? Is he talking personnel? What's he saying? And now, given this, I feel like that quote was obviously changes are coming. So we won't know, but that, as soon as I heard the news, the first thought, I was like, okay, well, now I know what the Wisconsin quote was. And so that's my first thought. Yeah, I'm the same as you. I don't want to speculate. I don't want to say like, oh, he called Chris Ash and said, take my guy or something like that. Or this was just hey, we're going to move it in another direction. And, here's the opportunities out there, whatever. It doesn't matter. What matters is Illinois is going to have a new defensive coordinator, reportedly, we should say. And we'll see what directions that goes.
Well, the other thing I would note is both of those assistants are going to what should be playoff contenders.
Yeah.
Again, obviously Notre Dame missed the playoff this year, much to their consternation, but they can realistically, in year in and year out, hope to be in the field of 12. So sure. It's not like Aaron Henry got this huge demotion, even though he's no longer coordinating. And it'll be fascinating to see who is the new defensive coordinator, let alone person who handles the special teams. By the way, should we presume that whoever fills special teams will also be doing tight ends? Those usually go together, but not always, right?
Yeah, not always. And remember, there's two coaches for everything now.
Mm-hmm.
When we heard Brett Bielema talk about special teams this year in certain parts after the Duke game, when they identified that two Duke players would wear the same number if they were both in a certain punt coverage, he always pointed to Chris Hurd, who is the assistant special teams coach. And he would say, hey, Chris Hurd found that, and Chris Hurd did this. So I don't know the future for Chris Hurd, but it's possible that they just leave it with, hey, we'll do special teams with the assistant special teams coach, and I'm out hiring a tight ends coach, and Chris Hurd can handle this. It's so different now. It used to be, years ago, it used to be 8, and then it was 9, then it was 10, but you could only have that many assistants, and no one else could work with the players, and no one else could participate in practice or anything else. It's totally different now. So I think with those changes, my gut is that you're going to see them go out and look for a tight end coach as another one of the 10, and then they might handle special teams differently.
And defensive coordinator, who knows? Again, only would be speculation, but there could be a couple of internal candidates in my mind. But I guess it also depends on, does Brett Bielema want an experienced play caller on defensive side? Is it about the scheme that is run? Are they open?
Is the scheme going to change? Yeah,
exactly.
People have been talking about the defensive line recruits and, hey, who's going to be the Johnny Newton? Who's going to be the Keith Randolph? Who's going to be the James Thompson? And maybe the answer is they were making a plan to change up the way they do the defensive line, and these outside linebackers will get kind of split with inside linebackers, and some guys go to defensive end, and it's a completely different kind of scheme for 2026. So it's why I always say I'm the guy saying hold all the time in the off season. It's just like, wait, we don't know yet. Oh my gosh, what are they doing? Hold. Just, there's more information coming. Just be patient. Oh, but what with
Is
it?
that
Just wait. And that's how this is, oh, maybe this whole thing with the defensive line is that a lot of things are switching.
Is that kind of like if somebody were to say, I don't know, see a starting guard go out of the lineup due to injury and would say, well, there's no chance to win the Big Ten title now. And somebody else might say, well, hang on.
Should that
could
person
be okay.
say, hold?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that kind of the same thing here?
Listen, I'm one of the 17. I football differently than I basketball. I demand from my basketball program, and I give lots of space for my football program. And yes,
you are entitled
you
to
are
certain
free.
things. This
Yes.
is Illinois basketball. We're entitled to certain things here.
Yes,
With
this is
football,
Illinois
we have
basketball.
a lot of
We
margin.
demand Final Fours, and football. Gosh darn it, we love you guys. So
As long as you just wear that uniform with some pride.
yes, I mean, look, here I am the day after a huge win. I'm wearing my Music City Bowl shirt. Scott, I'm going to close this segment with story time. So I'm going to hold the shirt up here. See the little Tennessee helmet there?
Yeah.
So I was taking.
For those of you who are watching, you can see it.
Yes, I was walking in a door somewhere, and a guy was holding the door for me. And I was carrying my grandson, and I was carrying him over the Illinois helmet. And so the guy just sees my shirt and sees a Tennessee helmet and says, as he's holding the door for me, "Hey, go Vols." And I had to inform him, "Sorry, pal. It was the team that won the game that I'm repping with this shirt," which is a fun moment because he thinks he's seeing a fellow Tennessee fan wearing orange. And sorry, sir, I cheer for the team that actually won that game. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
The next time you and I are together, who knows? We may have more football news to process, but you'll be back here in studio. So
I will be
look
back.
forward to that.
No more grandparenting. Well, I mean, I'll still be grandparenting, but no more
Yeah.
actively making sure kids are getting fed.
And I'll get reminded of what your head looks like in real life.
Yes, it is. It is actually this big.
All right, safe travels home, sir.
Thank you.
When we come back on Light the Eye, Tyra Perry is the head coach of Illinois softball, and we'll have a chat with her. This is Light the Eye, presented by the U of I Credit Union. Welcome back to Light the Eye, presented by the U of I Credit Union. Hey, do us a favor if you would. Like and subscribe. Just take a moment to hit the subscribe button, the like button, the follow button, however you are tracking with us. We really appreciate each and every one of you, and we appreciate all the feedback you give us. You can always reach out to us on email, lighttheeyepodcast@gmail.com. That's lighttheeyepodcast@gmail.com. So pleased to have our guest here with us. She's the head coach of Illinois softball in her 11th season now, Tyra Perry, just the second head coach ever in program history. The season begins this coming weekend down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. A trio of opponents on the docket. They open with Lamar. NC State will be there as well. Tyra Perry, welcome to Light the Eye.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Sorry, Robert can't be here with us as well, but we'll get us all together at a future time. I always like to, I have little everybody has little mile markers in their lifetime, and one of them for me is the year 2016 for a bunch of different reasons. My daughter was born that year, but it's also the first year that I started doing Learfield radio broadcasts on a regular basis with softball, which coincided with your first season. So I can always it's easy for me to remember Tyra Perry's first year was 2016. So I don't know if I'm going to say you've been at the softball thing for a little while, so I can't quite say we came in together, but it felt like a merge point there for me. So I always think that's kind of cool.
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like we're old friends now. I think when I first got here, I was all over the place, and you were always so gracious and welcoming. So I really appreciate that. You always made me feel comfortable.
Oh well, thanks a lot, and thanks for being here. We love, it's 30 degrees outside. There's snow on the ground. We got a couple of hot basketball teams, and Diamond Sports I'm passionate about. So it's like, oh yeah, there's going to be some other sports starting up here. I know you kind of have to fly under the radar a little bit of the winter sports that are going on, but it's here. It's coming up. So how does it feel, season number 11, and you're an old pro at being a head coach? Are there butterflies at this point in your career when you think about a season that's a few days away?
I always get a little bit, that excitement, and I think once you get to a point where you're not excited, then maybe you have to kind of consider your life choices. But I'm excited. I was just talking to a player a few minutes ago, and, she's, excited about it. And it's hard to not, and start to anticipate and start to feel, and, the smells of the ballpark, and, the hot dogs and all of the things that go along with opening day. It's really hard not to get, just ready to go, especially when you see the excitement in the young women that are going to play.
You start in Baton Rouge, and every time I see you guys are playing in Baton Rouge, I feel like that's not a coincidence, given that's your hometown.
Yeah, I've gotten to where, especially being a Midwest team, we have to travel the first 5 weekends. Because in someone's infinite wisdom, we open the first weekend of February, and like you said, there's snow on the ground here, so we can't play here. So I've cultivated a list of places that we can go, and we've done well, traditionally, and I know the travel, what it's going to be like. In the case of Baton Rouge, we get a nice meal from my parents every time we go there. And, the players just get a chance to experience a little bit of Louisiana culture. We generally make a stop in New Orleans and go to Cafe Du Monde for beignets. And my mom, when she does cook, she usually pulls out a king cake or something like that, because it's generally around Mardi Gras time when we go there.
So is that food that, okay, I can't get that in Champaign-Urbana?
Oh, absolutely.
Of course, nobody can get mom's home cooking anywhere, right?
Right.
But is it there's food in Baton Rouge that I'm not getting anywhere else?
Absolutely, and that's something that, whenever we are able to go and she is able to host the team, it's always something a little Cajun, seafood. I think this year's menu may be blackened something with a little catfish on the side, or something like that. I think is what she's kind of playing around with. But yeah, just a chance to kind of expose the team to something different.
Mm-hmm.
And they get a chance to kind of look at the old photo albums, the pictures that mom has on the wall, and of me and my siblings, and they get a chance to kind of get to know me in a different way.
It's interesting that you played at LSU, and as I recall, it was also a program that got going right about the time that Illinois got its program going in around 2000-ish. Is that right? Do I have my history right there?
You're a little bit close, but a little bit off there. Our program at LSU started in 96, and I was the second signee. But the part that did go together is my first coaching job was at Birmingham Southern, and my assistant coach, Allie Sartini, her sister, Jana Sartini, was on the first team here at Illinois, and that was in the 2000s. So I was keeping up with Illinois and the season and what was going on here through Allie when I asked her about Jana.
Mm-hmm. So were you, when your team comes to your parents' house and sees a picture, are they seeing little Tyra with a bat in youth softball leagues? Are they seeing you in travel pictures? When was it yeah, I might be a Division I softball player when I get older?
Well, I played multiple sports, so they're going to see me in a basketball uniform. They're going to see me spiking a volleyball,
mm-hmm.
Because I really enjoyed playing all the sports, multiple sports. I tried track for a bit, but that didn't work out. I hated track. So sorry, Petros, but I absolutely hated track. And that is something that I do regret. I wish I did, pursue track a little bit then, but at the time I just couldn't see it. But at some point I figured out that I wasn't going to be 6 foot tall, and, just really started to excel at softball, really developed a love for it. And even coming out of high school, I wasn't sure. I had basketball offers. I had just academic offers to schools, and still wasn't very sure, and just had a really great high school state championship run my senior year, and just really kind of solidified that I wanted to play in college.
So I've never been to Baton Rouge, but is it there's always kids who grew up near a university who are like, I got to get out of here. And then there's others like, hey, this is where I am. I mean, what was that dynamic? Because obviously SEC football is, but SEC softball is a thing, right? Was it because that's where you could play? What went into that?
Well, it was really interesting because at the time the top dog was USL, currently UL in softball, and that was Yvette Gerard. And so that was the top softball program at the time. Because the SEC hadn't added softball when I was coming out in 1993 out of high school. And so, I ended up deciding to go to Nicholls State because they had a great nursing program. And a lot of the young women that I played against in travel ball and in high school went there. So it was very comfortable for me. I was technically wide open. I would have maybe gone anywhere, but that's where the opportunity was. And when I saw the caliber of players at Nicholls State, I knew that I wanted to go there to get a great degree because I was supposed to become a nurse, not a coach.
Yeah.
And then, I knew the players and I knew that they were tough players. And Nicholls at the time had won the Southland Conference several times, so there was a winning program. So it was a no-brainer for me.
So I was in college and I had a couple of different things I thought I was going to do, and I even did them for a little bit. Now I'm here doing this. So when was it in your life? I didn't know we were going to do This Is Your Life here on this podcast, by the way. So
I'm enjoying it.
Okay, good. Yeah, if you're like, hey, let's talk about the season. But like, when was it? Like, forget nursing. I think I'm made to be a coach.
Well, we were coming back. It was my sophomore season. We were coming back from regional play. We had won the conference that year. We were at regionals in Lafayette with Louisiana Lafayette, and we finished and we were heading back, and my coach announced that she was starting the program at LSU. So she took a couple of us gave us the opportunity to go with her and transfer. For me, it was getting closer to home because Nicholls was a little bit further out. Baton Rouge was obviously my hometown. So the funny part is I originally said no because I had finally finished my prerequisites for nursing. I was about to apply for nursing school, and LSU's nursing school is in New Orleans. So I had some time to think about it. Eventually, talked to my parents and family because the no was a Tyra no.
What is a Tyra no?
It's just a young 19-year-old, Tyra no. And then, I talked to my family, and obviously, they have a little bit more perspective than I did at the time. And just said, hey, you probably need to check this out. This could be a great opportunity. The SEC is starting softball because of the caliber of football and all the, what's known about SEC sports at the time. It just was a great opportunity. And so I had a chance to, get all the paperwork filled out and transfer and talk to my coach, and she accepted me. And so I was, again, the second signee there, and decided that I did not want to go to school for 5 years and then go to nursing school. So I had to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
And so the counselors there basically said, you can finish in kinesiology and then get your master's all before you finish playing, before your eligibility is up. Are you interested in that? And I said, absolutely, yes. So I graduated with a master's at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But no more nursing.
No more nursing, and decided that I wanted to coach. I was still kind of unsure. I did an internship in compliance, which helped me get my first coaching job because I was 21 years old when I was the head coach at Birmingham Southern. But I think the compliance background kind of helped solidify my resume there. So thought I was going to go in compliance, realized I did not like being indoors all the time and did not like just the pencil pushing part of, that particular endeavor. So I liked being outdoors. I found myself walking down to the softball field all the time and realized that that's where my heart was.
And each stop, you've kind of progressively gone north. Birmingham Southern, Western Kentucky, Ball State, and Illinois. And I don't know what you thought when you took the job here in 2016, but you've made it a decade plus.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I'm good friends with the coach at Michigan State, and she's from Texas, and we always are like, wow, what are we doing in this cold weather whenever the season starts? And then we realize that it's just such a great opportunity in the Big Ten. Big Ten softball has just such a strong history, and you have people like Carol Hutchins that coached in the Big Ten, and Jackie Joseph, and just such and Coach Sullivan, who was here before I came, had just has a great reputation and has done some really great things with softball and Illinois softball. So just coming here into Big Ten country, I was in the MAC for a while too. I love the MAC. There were some great coaches that came out of the MAC as well, Hall of Fame caliber coaches. So coaching in this region and softball in this region is very strong, strong history, and it's great to be a part of it.
If I said, because this is how it strikes me at times, I see you as courageous in some of the steps you've taken in your life. Not only because you're a minority coach you stand out in that way, but just also going further and further from home and taking these various steps. Do you feel that way? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I admire those things you've done.
I appreciate that. I don't know that I thought about it at the time. Each time it was just about an opportunity to develop young women, and to be frank, opportunity to have more and more resources, so especially now. It wasn't so much then, but now this is a resource game. And, I didn't see very many people that looked like me in these spaces and, earlier on in my career. So at one point I may have been the only minority P4 coach, head coach, and that has changed over the past couple of years. I'm really excited and proud of that.
Was that daunting though?
I was only somewhat aware, because at the time that I reached this space, I had been friends with so many of the other coaches that I just kind of saw them as colleagues and friends. It didn't isolate me or anything in that way, but and everyone was very welcoming because I was also very young in that space. So not only was I one of the, if only the only minority, I was also one of the younger coaches back at that time, 10, 11 years ago. And I really realized it at convention. There's a meeting that we have, an ESPN meeting that is P4 coaches only. And at the time, I think it was P5, and now it's, P4. But I walked into the room and I sat down and I started looking around and I realized, like, whoa, this is an interesting room, and it's just me, and that's, I think, when it really dawned on me that it was just me. And I started thinking about it. I was like, well, maybe there's someone that's not here, and no, it was just me.
Yeah. The cool thing though is not P4, but your sister is a head coach at Southern University in Baton Rouge. You've gotten to go head to head against her a time or two, but that has to give you a support system, does it not?
Oh yeah, my sister's doing a great job. I'm really proud of her. Speaking of resources, she's at HBCU and it's really challenging there. So she does a lot behind the scenes, and so her job and my job are two different jobs, and we laugh about it all the time. I should get to see her briefly on Thursday when we arrive, but they're actually heading to Troy, Alabama. So I won't get to see her.
But are you ever
much.
like, yeah, what do you do for the? Do you what drill can I run for this? Or I've got this player who's not executing on this. What do you do for them? Do you guys trade
all
ideas?
the time?
Yeah,
all the time. And and the trading part is the beautiful part. There was a time where it was mostly like I was mentoring her and basically kind of having to tell her this or that, and now we are trading. So she's been in it for a while. She's really grown. She's done a lot to just enhance her skill set. She's doing pitching now, which I think is great. It's a great pivot for her. And really proud of what she's done over there at Southern University.
I should say her name, Brittany Williams.
Brittany Williams, yes. And she's got two daughters, and the oldest one is a little lefty, so we're excited about. She wants to pitch, and she's 9 now, so I think she may
two-way, maybe slap hit too.
I think so. She may be our softball player,
Yeah.
and the other one as well, Tia,
Yeah.
the younger one, maybe.
Well, speaking of hitting and pitching, you do have at least one or two two-way players that can hit and pitch for you, right?
Absolutely. Carly Yergler, she swings with us. So I guess you kind of know if the pitcher in her bag has a regular bat bag and she has a bat in there and a helmet versus just the glove. So the two with that will have a bat and a helmet as we travel in their bags, Carly Yergler and Christina Crawford. Yeah. So they both swing a bit.
When you start things this weekend, you play a ton of games in softball right away. There's 7 innings, and you'll play 5 games or something in a weekend. Now, to the outside, it's like, oh my gosh, it's softball season already, and then next week it's going to be baseball season. And it's like, so there's like, have you been working? You're already ready to go?
Yeah.
And how do you approach the start of the season when one weekend is going to be 10% of your regular season schedule, knowing that, things can change and you got to grow with the season, but also like, hey, we got to go win games right now. And in lightning quick, it can be over.
It's interesting. There's been talk about pushing the season back, and baseball is involved in these talks as well. That would be brilliant. It would allow us to have more home games and more preparation time and spread things out a bit, maybe.
I can't disagree.
Yep.
Also, there's at least here, there's huge engagement on other sports right now.
Yes.
I'd love to see both softball and baseball get maximum exposure. I know there's probably a million reasons why not to, but I don't know. You're a coach. You tell us why.
I think we could sell tickets. The teams that are in the South that are able to host, they're finding ways to sell tickets and sell out. And I do think we have something that is very marketable if we're able to push the season back. It also limits the matchups that can happen, because like some rivalry, type games and matchups, because, it's hard for certain teams to come into our space and play in our spaces. And, a lot of them want to. So if we can push the season back, it would just kind of give us a position to market ourselves in a even better way. And, we have a lot of fan engagement. You can see that through the numbers of the World Series. Mm-hmm. So people are watching softball. They would like to watch it in person, but the way that we're set up right now limits that.
And if I could just say, Eichelberger Field is a great setup. It's intimate. It's a nice seating bowl, and by the nature of the game, you're close to the action. You're like basically right on top. It's one of the more intimate venues for watching college sports.
I agree.
So, but yeah, you're going to be away for a month before things get going.
Yeah, there have been years that we've had 13 home games, and so it's a lot of wear and tear. It's a lot of travel. We're playing 56 games in 3 months. Like, think about that, like you said, and 5-game weekends. And if we would maybe cut the number of games down to 50, spread things out a little bit, start a little later, I think it actually could fall in the category of student-athlete welfare, that we're presenting a more balanced opportunity for young women in our sport and young men, because baseball's pursuing the same thing. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I would be all for it, but again, there's we all know there's a lot of forces shaping college athletics right now. What has maybe been the best thing in this new world of college athletics for you? Because everybody talks about the challenges, but has there been something that has benefited you the most? Softball, you, Tyra, Illinois softball, whatever it is, you've seen this new world of NIL, portaling, and all that.
I think it's great. I do think there needs to be, some parameters now that we've kind of seen the wide open version of this. I do know that I do believe that it was possibly too restrictive, before, and, played under that system and coached under that system for a really long time. As I mentioned, I do have nieces. I have a niece that's going to play college basketball soon, and one that currently is. And so I've seen that recruiting process and what it's done now that the NIL, conversation has come into play, and rev share and things like that. So it's great to see young women have those opportunities to leave school with a degree and no debt, because under the previous system, depending on the sport that you were playing, you could be the top player, of a softball team and still have a lot of student loans, and you might be the best player in the history of that program, but because there's only 12 scholarships and 26 on the roster, do the math, it's really difficult to give a full ride. Mm-hmm. And then the football guy maybe doesn't play much is on a full. So it's good that that has evened out. I never thought I'd see the day. So that's why maybe I'm hopeful about pushing the season back. It could possibly happen, but never thought I'd see the day where you'd have, 25 scholarships potential, 25 roster spots on a softball team. And I think it's made a big difference. And then the above of the NIL and the rev share, I think is huge, and I think it's great.
You have a good amount returning this year, right?
We do. We have a large number of returners. Even with that, we're still pretty young. The majority of our student athletes are sophomores right now, so we are still pretty young. We do lack a little bit of experience, but we do have, I think, some pretty talented kids that if we play our game, we're going to be okay.
Megan Nectarline is one that's back in the circle and has been identified as a player to watch. It all comes down to pitching, right?
Oh, yeah. We're healthy in the circle this year, and that's going to be good.
Yeah. In an ideal world, how many arms you want to be able to throw in a weekend?
Well, we have 6, and we plan to throw 6. So we're going to do matchups. Whatever the game requires, we're going to do that. But right now our top kids who are at the top of the list right now are Nectarline, Carly Yergler, as you mentioned before. Christina Crawford is a grad transfer to us from St. Thomas, and she's a 6-footer. She throws, 65 plus and has a great changeup. So she's someone that we're going to use quite a bit. A big advantage with Christina is that she, her stride length. So we pitch from 43 feet, but once Christina makes that large stride as a 6-footer, she's throwing it from about 38 feet, and then she throws hard. So I think she's going to be a big resource and big addition for us. From the transfer piece. And then we have Amanda Smith, who threw every inning of every game at her junior college in California and was very successful there. She's kind of unique, in how she throws, but she's, one that likes to get in on, the batter's hands, which is a good thing, and can change speeds and is really great at hitting her spots. So she's another transfer that I think has a lot of potential to help us. And then, Danica Frazier's is coming back, and she's doing great and really had a lot of experience last year, pitched against Ohio State at the end and did a great job of the season. And Abby Sabalewski, we have a lefty now. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And she's got some U of I ties.
She does. And she's one that, she's from Westville, and she was highly decorated in high school. And we're watching her get stronger. And we're watching her grow, and it has been great. I think she has great potential as well.
Yeah, she is a, what do you call it, a legacy recruit? Was it dad or granddad that I think it was her grandfather played here?
Yeah. She has great ties. Yep.
Grandfather John Sabalewski was a pitcher for Illinois.
Absolutely.
1952 and 1953 won Big Ten championships.
She's really proud of that, as she should be. That's huge.
Yeah. In the box, I'm sorry. Yeah, at the plate. That's what I meant to say. How we looking? We
have some great potential there. We have a chance to have an offense that is a little bit more multidimensional than in the past. Kyrus Click from last year had a great freshman campaign. She's back. We're looking at her as our leadoff. If you've been around Kyrus for 2 seconds, she's a ball player. She's a ball player.
And you're instantly her best friend.
You're instantly her. She never meets a stranger. She's just a unique kid, great family, just very compassionate, passionate about softball, compassionate to her teammates and others. So animal lover, like she has these dogs that are bigger than she is, and she loves them. And so I'm just really excited about her.
That would be a different sized dog than Prince, right?
I mean, I think Kyrus's dogs could eat Prince in one gulp without even.
Prince is your dog.
Yes. Prince is a Yorkie. So.
Has Prince ever come on a road trip?
No, I think that's a bit much. That's a bit much.
I agree.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot to manage.
Yeah, it'd be a
lot
to
But it would
manage.
be hilarious.
It would be hilarious.
Prince could just be in the dugout.
I don't think that would go well.
For anybody.
For anyone, no.
I'd want to watch Prince. I'd take care of him in the dugout. Can you tell, maybe you don't want to put it out there, but you've done this enough. Are there enough hints in an off season of what's coming for a season through the years? Or can you sit there and go, I know this player is going to break out this year? Mm-hmm. Even if you don't want to maybe name it, because lights haven't come on yet, right?
Right.
So Dan Hartleb's always told me, you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. I fought this guy and then nothing. And I didn't know about this guy. And, I mean, look at Keaton Wagler.
Oh, absolutely.
You know.
Yeah, I think there's a mix over the years. Like, yeah, there's those kids that do all the right things, and you can pretty much predict, how they're going to be. I think Eileen Donahue's one of those. Like, Eileen works her butt off. Like, she's always in Martin, our indoor facility. She's always in there hitting. And, when the weather breaks, she's always at Eichelberger hitting. She brings people with her, so she has that leadership quality of, hey, let's go hit, So at any given time, if you passed our indoor facility, there's somebody in there working, and generally it's Eileen. So she's somebody that is going to have some level of success. She played at a really high level at Marist, played really high with the Bandits and Travel and World and Travel Organization. So she's played 2 years for us, and so I think she's set up for something pretty good there.
She had a couple of nice walk-offs last year, too.
She did, and she's maturing, so with all that she's done, just kind of early in her career, I'm really excited to see her junior campaign. And then her with Ads Carroll. Last year, we could never get them hitting at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I do believe, they are, again, more mature. They have more weapons, more tools. They're able to adjust a little bit better. So I think their experience is going to help them.
Want to bring in our producer, Ella Peterson, who's actually already done some of your games on Big Ten Plus, and I would think so would be doing so again. And she's got a few questions as well.
Yeah, I just want to hop in with, we've talked about how long you've been in the game of softball, playing, coaching, all of that. Just how women's sports has evolved and kind of what that's meant to you.
Well, I would say two main things for me. Just going back to my experiences when I was a freshman at Nichols, I remember Coach going in the trunk of her car and pulling out a pair of shoes that were my running shoes, and they were used. So, and I wasn't a rich kid, I was the oldest of four. I had a job, I had a kind of a beat up car, so I wasn't a rich kid, but I'd never had to wear someone else's shoes. And maybe that's because I was the oldest, my younger sisters may have a different story, but, but that was something that would never happen now. Our players have contracts and multiple shoes and their own shirts. And, so I think just the visibility, exposure, has upped the value, and so now they're no longer days of shared bats and shared shoes. So I think that's pretty cool. And the part too, when I was in school, you only saw the World Series on TV, and now you can see so many games on demand on Big Ten Network. ESPN shows a lot, so it's great to see so many games streamed. And I'll never forget the time where I walked it was a barbershop it was a beauty school too, but they had barber area, and the guys were watching softball, and I was just like, this is it. we're coming a long way. When in the barbershop they didn't turn it to something else, there were other things on, they had it on softball.
Softball's a great sport.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up on baseball, and once I got exposed to softball, I mean, it's exciting, it's fun, it's quick when the pitch clock's a part of things.
Yes, that has changed a lot.
It is so it's I think it's almost more of a defensive game than baseball. I don't know. It's amazing to me because the field is smaller, the number of things that can happen on any given play. You must have a million drills you've got to run so that the right fielder is ready to make a play to third base or any of the other bases, in any of the scenarios that are out there.
Yeah, well, it depends on the team and the year, but I know for us this year, we've actually taken the a lot mentality. So we have certain drills that we've done that focus on most of the plays. Some things maybe are left out, but they can translate. But we're doing a lot so that we're really good at the things that we want to focus on. And then the rest, we're just going to have to play softball. We're going to have to react and play softball. So we do some of the same drills, and we've been doing them since August in hopes of becoming really, really high level.
I think this is a really exciting part. I know we talked about you have to travel to go play, but it is still fun to get the season started. What are you most looking forward to, specifically with this group? Fun to start a new year.
Yes, this group has great energy, and Scott, you've been around them when you've been around most of my teams, and you've met with the team this preseason to do our media training, and they just have so much personality, and they really enjoy each other. We really enjoy them. They are always joking around, but they know when to get serious. So I'm just excited to watch them play and see the hard work that they put in pay off.
Do you sense something different in the new freshmen, underclassmen this year, or maybe even the year past? I've seen and read some things out there. People are speculating this is a group of athletes now across the country that wasn't as widely impacted by COVID in terms of their training because they were younger. Is it too soon to say, yeah, that's a thing?
I don't know that I've thought of that, but I think you're right. Absolutely. These guys are definitely not waiting for the other shoe to drop, like maybe the COVID athletes, because that was pretty shocking, that we were kind of rocking along and that just really came out of nowhere. No one had ever experienced anything like that before. So I do think this group is not as cautious. They just kind of play ball and they just kind of go all out and interact, and they're not looking over their shoulder. So, yeah, I think you do have a really good point there.
Well, you guys are back at Eichelberger Field to open up the home portion of the season on March 13th for a series with Iowa. There's also a doubleheader in there with Missouri, and, wow, you got a nice homestand there in the middle of March against Northwestern. But for folks should check out your schedule because we do have a bit of a reach here. Folks are checking us out from across the country, so there's opportunities to go see you. But certainly, if you're in Champaign-Urbana, come see Illinois softball. It's a fun atmosphere. And it's high level stuff.
Yes, because we play on the road so much, we're away. We're the away team, and there's a great bit of data about just the home team and home field advantage and things like that. So when we do have home games, it is important that, people come out. You'll enjoy yourself. It's a great atmosphere. It's a fast game. It won't take your entire, day. It's very kid-friendly. Our marketing team does an awesome job. So, yes, please come out. It means a lot. It's important that when we do have our home games, we don't have very many, that if we can pack the place, it would be great. You may have to bring your blanket, but that's okay. We can do that. There are heated vests and things like that, heated blankets. Bring them.
If a young person from Baton Rouge can make it here.
Oh yeah,
in terms of weather.
And I've been teased all kinds of ways about my big jackets and coats, but I don't, that's why we have them. So bring your stuff, bring your family. It's a very important space that we have our home field advantage because we don't have a lot of home games, and if we could have, the community support, it would mean the world to us.
An absolute pleasure to have you here.
Oh yeah.
I hope we can do it again.
Thank you so much.
I know
love talking to you.
I know the softball schedule is a little busy, so we'll see if we can get a window in there, but otherwise, good luck.
You ask, I'm here. Thank you.
Okay. That'll do it for this edition of Light the Eye. We will be back later this week and planning to talk the other diamond sport. Dan Hartlett will also be our guest in a future episode. Of course, we'll have basketball and football to talk about as well. For our producer, Ella Peterson, for Robert Rosenthal, I'm Scott Beatty. Thank you for being with us. Until next time when we light the eye.
What's it gonna take, baby?